What I'm going to bring to you today is something that I call strategic marketing. And what I want you to get out of this is that marketing is something that you do every day. It's not a campaign here and there, although you might do campaigns, right, here and there. But marketing has to be a daily activity. It's part of the process of your business. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. And to get to that point, you can't just be doing anything. You've got to be strategic with what you do. And that doesn't mean that you don't test, but you don't flail around and try what I call flavor of the month marketing. So that's going to be the anti-marketing that we'll discuss a little bit today is the flavor of the month. So just a little bit of why should you even be here listening to me. I've worked in corporate marketing for many, many years with large banks. So I'm a recovering banker. Is anybody here a banker? You're recovering, right?
I'm recovering.
Recovering or recovered?
Recovered.
Recovered, that's good. So there's still hope. So I'm recovering. But I'm also a small business owner. Nehemiah Worldwide is my third business. And so we'll talk a little bit about from the corporate side as well as from the small business side. And we'll talk about what worked and how these principles that we're going to talk about apply in every scenario, no matter if it's a big business or a small business. So in your packet, you've got lots and lots of information. More than we're going to be able to cover today, but I wanted to give you a good reference material that you can that you can fall back on after the presentation. If you have questions later, just feel free to pick up the phone and ask me, because there's a lot in there. The stuff that's in here, even though it's a relatively short presentation, this stuff can take years to implement properly. So it's going to do this right, you're going to have to make up your minds to be very, very diligent. Hard work, right? So here's what you're going to get today. You're going to get something called, you're going to come out of this, because I'm going to make you work. This isn't just going to be me talking. It's going to be a lot of you working. You're going to come out of this with something called a brand promise. And we'll talk about that at length. And then you're going to have something called a touch points analysis. And that is your brand promise has to come through in every aspect of your business. You can't be executing well on your brand promise in sales and not executing poorly in your delivery or your customer service. We're going to do an audit of underutilized assets. So you may have underutilized assets that you need to put in place to make you more efficient. And so you're going to go through your business and try to figure out what those are. Because underutilized assets are costing our businesses thousands, if not millions of dollars. And we'll do a case study on underutilized assets. Now, the thing that always raises people's eyebrows when I do a presentation like this and I talk about leadership, and they say, well, leadership? What? This is marketing. Why are we talking about leadership? Well, isn't marketing part of a business function? Of course it is. Doesn't it have to be led? Of course it does. And we're going to talk about how in many organizations there's a failure at the very top to focus on marketing. So we're going to also create a roadmap for better referrals. Okay, which is really, really key. I'm a proponent of spending dollars on marketing, but not excessive dollars. And if we can build our businesses from referrals with very little money, then why not, right? And so we'll talk about another case study where we did that. So Before we get too far along, though, in a room like this, there are always people that should know each other. And so I always think it's bad when the presenter just introduces himself or herself and nobody else gets to know who anybody else is. So why don't we start over here and tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, your business, and what you do. So what we're going to talk about today are really these 4 critical success factors of marketing, and it's the foundation of marketing. So if any of you all are basketball fans, anybody ever heard of John Wooden? Amazing basketball coach for UCLA, right? He recruited these awesome players from all over the country. And at the very first practice, you know what he told them how to do? Put their socks on right and tie their shoes. Why, Jordan? Gordon, I'm sorry. Jordan, sorry.
What I've heard is that they would, a lot of times in those days, even now too, they would get blisters. And when you get blisters, you can't play basketball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Blisters. So Wooden taught them how to put their socks on right and tie their shoes right so they wouldn't get blisters. Because if they got blisters, they couldn't play. So here are these star athletes on these championship teams, blisters on their feet, sitting on the bench. Can't do that, right? Vince Lombardi. Ever hear of Vince Lombardi? Great football coach, Green Bay Packers. You know how he started his spring practice? Or rather his training camp every year? Professional football players. Best in the business. Gentlemen, this is a football. Why? There's nothing more important than taking care of the football in a game of football, right? Turnovers are the death knell of a football team. So the point is starting with fundamentals. And if you don't get the fundamentals right, you're going to have a really hard time. You almost better not show up. And so we're going to talk about some fundamentals today, but you're going to see that the fundamentals take, as I said, a lot of practice. So let me ask you a question. Who's heard of Peter Drucker? Peter Drucker. Yes. Who's Peter Drucker?
Sales and marketing guru, I think, the author.
Yeah, Roger. He is one of the best, the most well-known writers and thinkers on business in American history. Fantastic. And Peter Drucker said, there are 2 really important things in business and everything else is a cost. The 2 most important things, marketing and innovation. And he said the purpose of a business is to make money? No. The purpose of a business is to get a customer. Why would he think that? And why does he think the purpose of a business is to get a customer? And why does he think the 2 most important functions of a business are marketing and innovation? What are your thoughts?
Well, the customer is going to produce the profits.
Exactly.
In the marketing, we retain.
Yes. Yeah, and the innovation will help attract the customer too. Build your products and services, etc. Make you a better business. Exactly. So now I add one more thing to that, and I think it's a huge thing that we miss in American business, and that is people development. In all my years of business school, corporate America, etc., there's rarely been anything but lip service paid to people development. And I think what we're really blind to this in terms of how much people affect our marketing. And we're going to go into quite a bit of depth on that today. So now Drucker said the purpose of a business is to get a customer, and I would say the purpose of a business is to get a profitable customer. Because as you probably know, not all your customers are created equally. Not all your customers are profitable. And we're going to have a significant section in here where we talk about some of our best customers. I'm not sure how to apply that to a church. I haven't figured that one out yet. But you guys are creative, and I think there's some kind of application there. So there's a study recently done by some. It's called the State of the Business Owner, and it was done in just this year, and it said that the businesses that spend at least 2 days a week on marketing grow 60% faster than businesses that don't spend that amount of time on marketing, that spend less. So let me ask you, let's see a show of hands here. How many of you all spend at least 2 complete days a week on marketing? There's 1, 2. Marianne, so. Kim, maybe, right? So. Okay, as I said at the beginning, we're going to try to figure out how we can make marketing a daily practice where we're spending every single day, not obviously every part of every day on marketing, but it's just something that we do all the time, okay? So if you want to be among the elites, which I hope you do, you've got to devote a lot of time to marketing. You might think that you're in the cleaning business, or you might think that you're in the law business, or you might think that you're in the health clinic business. But we're all in the marketing business. That's really what we're in. Because if we're not in that business, if we just do our technical specialties, we're not going to have any customers. And the easiest way to kill a business is to let your lead generation dry up, right? So let's talk about the state of marketing in most businesses. I hope your business is different, or your church, or your nonprofit. But from what I've seen from many, many businesses, I'm not very impressed with the state of marketing in most businesses. They tend to view marketing as singular campaigns. Flavor of the month. We're going to run a product special this month. Something is on sale this month. And so what happens is there's a little bit of effort and energy for a while, but then it just dies down and everybody says, ooh, sure I'm glad that's over with. Now I can get back to my real job, right? The other thing is that most companies don't measure their marketing very well. So for those of you who do spend time on marketing, how well do you measure its effectiveness? Do you measure its effectiveness? I see one nod. I see a nod back and forth and an up and down. So, not a lot, right? I mean,
It's hard to sometimes.
it can be hard, yeah. It can be hard, yeah. Fortunately, with the internet and the way we can create landing pages and things like that, it's a little bit easier. You know, it can be done, but that doesn't mean it's easy. So, if you're a CEO of a company and I come to you and say, hey, I want to do certain marketing activities, first thing you should say to me is, what's the payback going to be and how are you going to measure it? And if I can't tell you, why would you invest? But a lot of marketing is very fluffy and flashy, but it's not measured. And so we'll talk a lot about measuring today. So the other thing is, marketing tends to be neglected by CEOs and people in the executive suites because they have other things to do. They've got more important things to do, at least so they say. I can't imagine what's more important than understanding your customers and staying focused on them. But particularly in large corporations, as you go up the food chain, I can assure you, the focus